Hey, let's do a goals video for 2025. I just watched Justin's over at Triumphal Reads, which I found quite inspiring. And Claire Marie has also posted a really good goals video. And of course, Willow comes over as soon as I start recording, because she likes to be on my videos. So come and say hello to everyone, Willow. Come and say hi. Right, so let's get into it. I've written out a few goals, some bookish ones and some reading ones. And I'll start with the reading ones, shall I? So, first up is to maintain my humanities Substack. So for those that don't know, I'm following Ted Gioia's humanities list, which he came out with, I think, around the middle of last year. This year, we're still in 24 as I record. And he suggested a list of books that one could read each week, comprising 250 pages of reading time a week. So I've spread that out and turned the weeks into months. And as we sit in December, I'm just about to finish Aristotle, the Nicomachean Ethics. So I want to maintain that because, number one, I'm getting a lot out of it. And number two, having it as a Substack, which people can follow and read along with me, gives me accountability and means that I'm thinking about what I'm reading a bit deeper, because I'm making notes and writing posts for each of the books that I read. Now, I'm not reading every book on Ted's list. For example, December he had Nicomachean Ethics and I think it was Poetics, which I haven't got, so I won't be reading that. It's just to read the main texts that he recommends. So I want to maintain that consistently each month in 25. Next up, maintain my Crime and Punishment Substack. So that's been going since March, I think, 24. Reading one chapter a week. I haven't been as consistent as I would like. I think resistance and procrastination and attention deficit disorder, whatever it might be, these things get in the way and have been causing me to miss weeks or to slow down and not produce when I want to produce. So I really want to get on top of that. So if you are following along, come and give me a kick up the arse. I would appreciate that. And moving forward from that, that should be finishing around beginning of March. And I would like then to launch into another one, another Russian classic, along the same lines, reading it nice and slowly. And I've got two books in mind: Master and Margarita by Bulgakov and Oblomov by Ivan Goncharov. Those are the two I have in mind. If you have a preference, let me know, but I think I'm kind of leaning towards Oblomov because it's one of my all-time favourites, as of course is Master and Margarita, so I want to keep that going. I want to keep the written content going. I want to continue with Russian classics and reading, perhaps even comparing translations, as I've been doing with Crime and Punishment. Okay, so those are reading goals. The next one I have here is to finish The Realm of the Elderlings series by Robin Hobb. I did start that in 24, intending to read one book a month, and I managed that with 8 books over 10 months. So I'm halfway through. It's a 16-book series. I'm already into new territory because I've read the Farseer trilogy and the Live Ships before, but I hadn't read the Tawny Man, so I'm about to launch into Fool's Fate, which is the third in the Tawny Man trilogy, and that will take me to the end of book 9 in the whole series, so that will leave another 2 series after that. We've got the Dragon books, Dragon Haven, I can't remember what the series is called, and then there's a final trilogy, so it's 4 books in the Dragons and then a final trilogy to finish up the whole series, and I want to read all of those in 25. I do love fantasy. particularly Robin Hobb. Next one, follow Dana's group, Dana Dostoevsky. I don't know her actual name, but she runs a Substack called Dostoevsky Book Club, I think. She did Crime and Punishment this year as well, and her analysis of that book was absolutely superb, as was her artwork. She drew incredible artwork for every chapter, sometimes more than one piece for a chapter, and she's so talented. Her knowledge of Russian culture and history is way beyond mine, and she added so much and continues to add so much to my reading of Crime and Punishment. So she will be leading a group this year with the Brothers Karamazov, which I have here. I've got two translations of this, the Avsey one and Pavina Volokonsky, and I had it on my TBR for November, along with the book club on Mike's book reviews Discord server, but I didn't get to it, so I'm going to get to it this year, which I'm very excited about. Another goal is to read a Charles Dickens novel. I read Great Expectations 2 years ago. That was my first Dickens novel, and I enjoyed it a lot, so I wanted to read another one, and I put a question up on my Substack notes, and I had as many different answers as there are Dickens novels as to which one I should read. I was going to go with The Tale of Two Cities, because I already had it on the shelf, but instead I've decided to go with Bleak House, because I've heard my wife watching the TV show in the background, and I would like to watch it with her. It sounds good. So that's what I'm going to go with, Bleak House. Don't know when, but if it's something you'd like to read during the year, let me know if you have it planned, and we can maybe buddy read it. That would be cool. That's all the reading goals. I've got 2 bonus goals, which are also reading groups to follow. One of them is Anna Karenina, which I have this lovely copy here. I bought this in 24 and didn't read it, so I would love to read this again. I've got it down as a bonus goal, but it's a slow read, so I should manage it all right. It's being led by Henry Elliott on his Substack. His Substack is called Read the Classics, and he's going to be reading it from the 10th of January 24 right through to the 27th of February. No, 10th of January 25 through to 27th of February 26. So that's a very slow read, and the reason he's doing it that way is because it goes along with the cadence at which it was published originally in the Russian journal that it was published in. Russian Messenger, was it? Can't remember. So that's his goal, to lead that group over a year, so I should manage that as a bonus goal. And as another bonus goal, I have a read along of another classic, Moby Dick, Deluxe Penguin Edition. Oh, it's good Earl Grey tea. So this one's going to be led by a new discovery of mine, Brock Covington, who's on YouTube as The Active Mind, and I just discovered him because I did a search on Oblomov, and he had posted an excellent review of Oblomov, and I started watching more of his content and discovered that we are kindred spirits. So I looked up more of his stuff. He's running a book club, and I did have Moby Dick on my TBR, so this just gives me a perfect opportunity to read that along with someone else. It came onto my TBR because of having just finished reading John Irving's The Last Chairlift, in which Moby Dick features quite heavily, so it was kind of in my mind anyway as something I'd like to read, but that really pushed it up further, so that's a bonus if I can get to that in June. So those are all the reading goals, apart from perhaps to read, want to finish the Dark is Rising series by Susan Cooper. So I'd love to do a video on those. I read the first 2 this year, Over Sea Under Stone and The Dark is Rising. There are 3 more to finish that series, and they're only short books, so that shouldn't be too big an ask. But I should plan it so that it happens, rather than just have it as a nebulous thing on my list. So that's a reading goal, as is The Priory of the Orange Tree, because I had it already on my TBR. My daughter bought it for my Christmas because she saw my TBR, which she thought meant I didn't own it, and I did. So she bought me it, which has bumped it right up, almost to the top. So I want to read that as well because it was a gift, So, I mean, my TBR, I should probably do a separate video on that because it's rather long. So I won't dive into that here, but I'm going to put that as a reading goal, to read The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Right, bookish goals. I got this one from Justin and it sounded like an excellent goal, so I'm going to steal it. No YouTube publishing gaps of longer than 14 days. So I am aware that I don't post enough, and it's not enough, that's not the right word. I don't post as often as I would like. And I think that in making content about books, I mean, the whole point of it is so that I read more closely, more deeply, and think more about the books that I'm reading in order to make the content, or to make the content in order to think more deeply about the books, because those things happen, So I want to make more videos and have no gaps of more than 14 days. That's one bookish goal. Another one, which I'm stealing from Claire Marie, because it's such a good one, is to write a review for each book. She put that as one of hers, to write handwritten reviews. And, I might do that because, I love a good bit of stationery and my fountain pens and all that. Maybe I'll do it that way. But I've also got it down as to slow down and to take handwritten notes. So I've been doing that with Aristotle, my Leuchtturm book, and I've been making these notes with fountain pens, which is just such a pleasurable experience. Excuse me. And so I want to do more of that as I read. Sit here at my desk with fountain pen, notebook, and make handwritten notes. So next bookish goal, we've only got 2 left. One of them is to experiment with book vlogs. I do enjoy watching a good book vlog, particularly Emmy. Emmy does good ones, so I'd like to watch more of that. Maybe try and incorporate more B-roll into the videos and come on camera at certain points of the book and talk about what I've just read. Because I enjoyed watching hers, particularly for War and Peace. That was great, which I read this year. So that's a bookish vlog with at least one published. So as an experiment, just to see how I get on with that format, if it works for me. And the last one, this is a big one, is to participate in Historathon 25. Historathon, something that came onto my radar in 24, but I did it wrong. I didn't really understand how it worked. So now I do, because they're relaunching it for 25, and how it works is you break the year into quarters, and you read one history book per quarter, and each of the quarters has a period designated to it. So quarter 1 starts with 0 to 500 AD or CE. The second period goes from 500 to 1500 CE. Third period from 1500 to 1820. And then the fourth quarter from 1820 to the present day. So I've already got my book 1 ordered. It hasn't arrived yet. That's going to be Dominion by Tom Holland. And the reason I picked that is because I listened to him being interviewed on Barry Weiss's podcast, Honestly, over Christmas, and it goes into the history of Christmas, basically, and Christianity. And he spoke eloquently, and it resonated with me, so I thought, that's a good pick. From 0 AD is basically the beginning of the birth of Christ, so it fits in perfectly with that time period as well. So that's what I'm going to read for Q1. Most of my history books, of which I have many on my TBR, are Russian, particularly Revolution, and I want to read more of them. However, they only fit into 1 quarter, so I don't know how to work that out. The Gulag Archipelago is high up on my TBR, so I might just read that without waiting till Q4. I don't know how I'm going to fit them all in, because, lots of Stalin biographies, Montefiore's 2-book series on Stalin. I've got some who wrote Gulag, Anne, Christ, what's her name? And she wrote Red Famine. Forgotten her name, but you know who I mean. Refresh the memory with some tea. Anne Applebaum. I've got some of hers. I've got loads. So, anyway, those are my goals, such as they are. How many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I should have done the Sesame Street tune, shouldn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 goals, going into 25. Let's see how we get on, shall we? And if you want to share your goals, if you've done a goals video, put a link in the comments. We'll build up a list of goals videos and we can go and watch each other's. I will share a link to Justin's and to Claire Marie's in the description for this one, so you can go and watch theirs as well. Claire Marie's awesome. She's a kind of booktuber I aspire to be more like. As is Justin, actually. Justin reads a lot of the kind of stuff I want to read more of. History, philosophy in particular. But I think with my love of fantasy, that's kind of what, I don't know how to put it. As I was reading some Jordan Peterson this month and some Aristotle. Aristotle in particular got me thinking of The Way of Kings, the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, and the way that philosophy is incorporated into the characters. Act with honour and honour will aid you, that kind of thing. So I love how fantasy connects with history and philosophy. It's just such a beautiful thing. Anyway, that's me. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you in 25.